Your boy requires safeguarding from females who wed for finances, not affection," Mrs. Blackwood declared, pushing the premarital arrangement over the mahogany surface with polished digits that had never labored one day in their existence. "Execute it immediately, or gather your belongings and go. We shall have the marriage voided by dawn. But the esteemed man clearing his throat wasn't merely any attorney. He was Harrison Fitzgerald, whose subsequent statements would expose precisely who required shielding from which person. The Blackwood family library appeared like a film scene for inherited affluence. Leather-covered, volumes nobody perused, canvas depictions of grim forebears, and sufficient Persian carpets to cover a tiny nation. I was seated opposite my spouse John's complete kin, his mom Patricia, dad William, sister Caroline, and sibling Edward, all gathered like a council to determine whether I was deserving of the Blackwood title and wealth. We quote D been wed for precisely 72 hours. A civil ceremony in Las Vegas that John had demanded, following a rapid half-year courtship. His kin had been livid regarding missing the societal occasion of the year, yet not almost as enraged as they were concerning him wedding a preschool instructor from Nebraska. "Comprehend you're displeased about the ceremony," I started. "Displeased?" Patricia's tone could have chilled sparkling wine. "My boy wed an insignificant person in a tasteless Las Vegas venue. Displeased fails to start to describe it." "She is not an insignificant person," John uttered meekly from next to me. He'd been growing increasingly silent since we'd reached his family's Greenwich mansion that day. Truly. Edward reclined, completely the Wall Street financier he'd turned into. "What does she then? What does Sophia contribute to this kin, besides an instruction credential and educational debt?" "Affection," John stated. "She contributes affection?" Caroline genuinely chuckled. "Affection does not cover country club dues, younger sibling. Affection does not sustain mansions or finance electoral runs or maintain the Blackwood title significant. Which is why William ultimately spoke, his voice bearing 4 decades of business power. "We've had Harrison prepare a thorough premarital contract. Postmarital, technically, yet equally enforceable. The legal counsel, Harrison Fitzgerald, was positioned at the head of the surface like a hesitant killer. In his 60s, with grey locks and gentle gaze, he appeared, uneasy with the events, yet occupationally obligated to proceed. "Mrs. Blackwood," he spoke to me formally, "this arrangement would safeguard the kin holdings in event of termination of union. Separation, Patricia specified icily. When you separate from him, since we all understand this will not endure." "Mother," John objected, "do not mother me. You've been acquainted with this female for half a year. She is from Nebraska, for heaven's sake. She likely singled you out the instant she discovered your surname. We encountered at a philanthropic function," I murmured softly. I was not even aware who he was. "Naturally, you were not," Edward sneered. "Just accidentally fell in affection with the heir to Blackwood Enterprises." "How fortunate. She was offering help," John supported, "instructing children to read at the literacy foundation gathering." "An ideal alibi," Caroline proposed. "Guileless instructor encounters rich scion. We've all viewed this film, and we understand how it concludes." William slid the prenup toward me. "The conditions are straightforward. In event of separation, you get $50,000 for every year of union. That's liberal, Patricia included. Thinking about, you're contributing nothing to this partnership." I lifted the paper, looking over pages of legal terminology intended to guarantee I'd exit the union with hardly more than I'd entered with Dot. And if I refuse to execute, then we'll start annulment processes instantly, William declared. John is emotionally vulnerable. You exploited his amorous disposition. Any tribunal would perceive it. I am 30 years old, John stated. You cannot annul my union as if I'm a kid. We can when you behave like one, Patricia retorted. Wedding some unknown female without a vetting, without kin consultation, without shielding yourself or your legacy, my legacy, John reiterated. That is all this concerns. Currency. Do not be gullible, Edward instructed. All things concern currency. Affection is merely the tale individuals tell themselves whilst they're reaching your financial records. Harrison moved uneasily. Possibly we should. Obtain her signature, William commanded. That is what we're compensating you for. I gazed at Harrison. You appear uneasy about this. I am compensated to be meticulous, not at ease, he answered. Cautiously, meticulous, I repeated. Then you've performed an entire fiscal vetting on me. Naturally, Patricia interjected. We understand precisely what you value. Or rather, what you lack value. Harrison, I prompted. He readjusted his spectacles, taking out a file. Sophia Marie Brennan, previously of Omaha, Nebraska, undergraduate degree in primary instruction. Graduate degree in developmental psychology. Impressive, Caroline repeated. She is likely wedding you to settle her debts. $40,000 in obligations for an individual who earns $68,000 annually, Edward computed. Yeah. She struck the jackpot with John. Is that all, Harrison? I inquired softly. He halted, examining me with those gentle eyes. That is all in my preliminary document. Your preliminary document, I stated, not your meticulous document. The space became quiet. Harrison looked at William, then back at me. I was directed to examine your present circumstance. Not my history, not my entire past. Sophia, John contacted my arm, bewildered. What are you discussing? I am discussing thoroughness, I stated, keeping visual connection with Harrison. You are extremely skilled at your occupation. Correct, Mr. Fitzgerald, leading in your profession. That is why the Blackwoods pay you so handsomely. I possess a standing for comprehensiveness, he conceded. Then you discovered the confidential files. Patricia bent forward. What confidential files? Harrison was silent for an extended period. Then he took out another, considerably bulkier file. No, William ordered. Whatever scheme you're executing. It is not a scheme, Harrison murmured softly. It is required scrutiny, which I concluded, despite your directions to halt at superficial tier. What are you discussing? Patricia demanded. Mrs. Sophia Blackwood, née Brennan, is indeed a preschool instructor. She does earn $68,000 annually. She does operate a Honda Civic. He paused. She also received controlling stake in Brennan Technologies when her father passed away 1 decade ago. The quiet was total. That is inconceivable, Edward murmured. Brennan Technologies is valued roughly $300 million at present assessment. Harrison proceeded. Sophia possesses 51%. Her trust, set up by her father, yields about $8 million each year in earnings. $8 million, Caroline repeated weakly, which she gives away, Harrison included. All of it, each year. To literacy initiatives, educational institutions and disadvantaged populations, and instructor training programs. But she resides. Patricia could not complete. In a single-bedroom flat in Queens, rides the metro to employment, purchases at Target. Harrison produced additional papers. By decision. Her cash holdings, excluding the firm, worth surpass $80 million. This is a falsehood, William stated bluntly. Some type of trick, you boy? Harrison interrupted. Whether female valued approximately fourfold your kin's total holdings. Who exists like an instructor because she is an instructor. Who offers help at literacy functions because she values literacy. Who fell in affection with your boy without learning his surname because she does not conduct vetting on persons she dates. I observed the Blackwood kin digest this data. Their perspective, where they were the treasures, and everybody else was attempting to take from them, was disintegrating in real time. Why? Patricia asked me directly. Why conceal this? I did not conceal it. I merely did not promote it. My father constructed his firm to make technology available to schools. I respect that by instructing. The currency is simply present. It is not who I am. But the prenup, Edward uttered slowly. You are going to execute it, naturally. I do not desire John's currency. I never did. You possess your own prenup, Caroline surmised. I shook my head. I do not trust in prenuptial agreements, but your holdings, William began, are mine to hazard. If John separates from me and claims half, then he claims half. That is what union signifies, dividing everything. That is crazy, Patricia exhaled. You are valued $300 million, and you wed my boy without safeguarding. I wed him with absolute safeguarding, I rectified. The safeguarding of understanding he adored me when he believed I was impoverished. Do you understand how uncommon that is? How many males have abandoned me the instant they learned about my inheritance? But John fell in affection with a preschool instructor who purchases at Target. I did, John stated, still appearing astonished. I do. Sophia, why did you not inform me? Because it is insignificant. Because I wished to be certain you adored me, not my investments. Because I have been hurt previously by males who viewed currency symbols rather than me. So, this prenup, Harrison uttered cautiously, is in fact safeguarding the incorrect individual. Safeguarding me from a female valued $300 million. John chuckled, somewhat frantically. That is preposterous. No comma, Harrison rectified. It would be safeguarding her from a kin that is already talking about how to reach her holdings. The allegation dangled in the atmosphere like a knife. We would never, Patricia started. Would not you? Harrison produced his mobile. Should I replay the audio of your discussion with William today? The one where you conversed how to utilize Sophia's unavoidable thankfulness for welcoming her into the kin. How? To direct her toward funding Blackwood enterprises. You taped us? William's face turned crimson. I document all things, legal counsel practice. Especially helpful when customers request me to perform something morally dubious, like probe. Only superficial aspects of a female valued hundreds of millions. This alters matters, Edward stated. Intellect already computing. Sophia, Clearly, we were mistaken about you. The prenup is needless, actually, I interrupted. I believe I shall execute it. Everybody rotated to look. What? John stated. I lifted the writing instrument. This secures your kin's holdings from me, correct? Ensures I cannot claim any Blackwood currency or possessions. Yes, but, William started. Ideal. I sign with a flourish. There. Now you are secured from the fortune-hunting preschool instructor. All $50 million of Blackwood holdings, secure from my $300 million grasp. Sophia, Patricia attempted. We clearly misjudged. No, You assessed perfectly. You saw a female you considered unworthy and attempted to shield your boy. I comprehend that. I even esteem it, but I do not pardon it. You are being theatrical, Caroline stated. We were not aware. Precisely. You were not aware, did not inquire, did not mind. You saw Nebraska, an instructor, and concluded I was pursuing your currency. The reality that I possess my own does not alter who you are, Dot. But it alters who you are, Edward insisted. No, it does not. I remain the identical preschool instructor who wed John in Las Vegas. Still the identical female you wished to eject 10 minutes ago. Wealth does not alter personality. It unveils it. I stood, John rising with me. Where are you? Going? Patricia asked. Residence. To our flat in Queens, where we shall reside on our incomes and construct our existence together. But the mansion, kin meals, societal duties, William stammered. Are your worries not ours? I gazed at John. Unless you wish to remain? Heaven, no. He seized my hand. Let us go home. This is absurd, Patricia stood. You cannot simply depart from the kin. Observe us, John stated. You spent 3 hours attempting to shame my spouse, Dot, attempting to diminish her to nothing. Reveals she is valued more than all of us combined. And you understand what? She was valued more than all of us. She was merely an instructor. To Dot, John, William commanded. Be sensible. I am being sensible. I am selecting the female who adored me without knowing my net worth, over the kin who view all and see previous financial reports. Dot. If you depart now, Patricia threatened, you are excluded. No trust, no director role, no legacy. All right, John stated simply. All right, Edward chuckled. You are relinquishing everything for affection, yes. Strange how that operates. Besides, he gazed at me with amazement. My spouse possesses a tech firm. Possibly she is recruiting. We do have an opening in our instruction section, I stated. Ideal, I agree. As we moved towards the exit, Harrison called out, Mrs. Blackwood. You will desire this. He handed me an alternate file. Separation documents. Pre-completed. Simply an event you determined marrying into this kin was an error. I looked at the documents, then at him. You genuinely do consider all things. It is my occupation. Though, for what it's worth, I believe your spouse selected wisely. Both in Las Vegas and just now. Harrison, William shouted. You labor for us. I labor for fairness, Harrison rectified. And occasionally, fairness appears like a preschool instructor from Nebraska, being valued fourfold, her arrogant in-laws. We exited them there, the Blackwood kin with their prenups and biases, their presumptions, and conceit dotting the vehicle. John finally cracked. $300 million? Brennan Technologies? Sophia, I do not even understand what to utter. Utter you adore me. I adore you. But why did you not inform me? Because I required to understand, you would select me over them. The impoverished instructor over the wealthy kin. And you did. I would select you over anybody. I understand. That is why I wed you. Well, that and you appear really attractive in a tuxedo. I was not wearing a tuxedo in Las Vegas. No. But I possess a solid imagination. He laughed, then became somber. They will reconcile, when they realize what they performed, possibly. But it will not signify. We shall construct our own kin, our own customs. Without prenups or vetting or provisional affection. Honor instructor and software developer incomes, why not? We shall live humbly, conserve prudently, and never ever assess somebody by their financial account. And your $8 million yearly earnings, we shall persist donating to philanthropy, unless you have objections. No objections, though possibly we could retain sufficient for a larger flat. One, where we do not overhear the adjacent residents arguing. Agreement? But we are retaining the Honda. The Honda is ideal, just like my preschool instructor spouse, who coincidentally is valued a fortune, yet favors instructing 5-year-olds to read, "Praise will bring you anywhere, Mr. Blackwood." Excellent. Because I am considering we should return to Las Vegas. Perform the ceremony correctly this occasion? Elvis, mimic and all. Your kin would perish. All the greater incentive. We motored back to Queens, to our tiny flat, and our tiny existence that was grander than anything his kin could envision. Because we'd selected one another over all else. And that, as it happened, was valued more than all the Blackwood and Brennan riches combined. The prenup, shielding them from me, rested in my handbag like the planet's biggest prank. They had expended so much vigor defending their $50 million from somebody valued $300 million, who did not desire a cent of it. But then again, that is what occurs when you assess by services. Occasionally, the fortune hunter is in fact the fortune source. And occasionally the kin that requires safeguarding is shielding themselves from the incorrect danger completely.